it's me. I'm Dark Mark, the goth comedian. Welcome to the lighter side of the dark side. And I have, this is going to be a great show.
Mm-hmm.
That is my co-host. You know her, you love her. She's back. She's back.
Hi. What's up?
That's a photo of your co-host.
It's a photo, yeah. I'm hiding.
You're hiding behind a photo.
I'm hiding behind a photo today, yes.
She's too scared to go on live.
Because of me.
Probably.
No,
I don't know.
Just don't feel like being looked at today. It's one of those days.
Is it laundry day? Did you get your period today, hon?
Yeah, and I broke out from my mask because I was sweating in it when I went to the store the other day. And,
oh, girl,
you know.
And you still look more beautiful than anybody else on this show, I would imagine. And that's saying something because except for me, we've got two very attractive people here.
We do.
We have the Prince of Darkness is here. It's been a while since we've had him on, about a year and a half. He's been up to a lot of stuff, and there's a lot of stuff coming up. Very, very happy to have him because I've got quite a lot of questions for him.
My friends call me the Prince of Darkness.
Stanton LaVey. Sorry, Stanton, what'd you say? Darkness?
My friends call me the Prince of Darkness.
No, you're the Prince of Darkness. You know that.
Why is it the Prince of Darkness?
Prince of Darkness. You call yourself a dork. I had a beautiful occult fetish model email me that I hadn't talked to in about 4 years. And I said, do you have any questions for Stanton LaVey? She's like, oh, just tell him this beautiful model thinks he's hot. There you go for the Prince of Darkness. Go ahead. Go ahead and inhale. Somebody who's doing that along with you is, the last time you were on was our Christmas show, and you told us all about our holiday show. Talked about Father Frost, talked about all the holiday stuff that you like to do with your children. And afterwards, you invited me to a ritual, which unfortunately I had a show that night and I couldn't go. I mentioned this to my friend, very funny comedian who's inhaling right now, Mia Mars, and she was so jealous.
Oh.
And so you have to come on the show with Stanton and talk with him. And we've been wanting to have her back on for so long. How are you, Mia?
I'm excited. I'm great. This is going to be probably the highlight of my week.
Of course, you burned your hand earlier in the week, so I guess it's a low bar.
Oh yeah. I'm a dumb idiot. Hand sanitizer is flammable, people. Just remember that, okay? Ow.
Is that what you did, really?
Funny.
It could have been my fucking face because I smoke cigarettes, yo.
Yeah. Well, be careful. Try not to burn anything during the show.
Especially not your pretty face.
I know. I need it.
Yes.
So what's up?
So, before we get started, let me say real quick, because we got so many sponsors now, that if you're watching this on YouTube, you're listening to this on any of the podcast catchers, go in the description, because you will have a free trial to Audible. There's discounts for Hustler Hollywood. There's discounts for Spy Associates. So you can get vibrators. You can buy spy equipment. There's also information about Doomy's Home Cooking. I just recently finding out that Stanton is vegan, I think.
Yeah.
Yay!
So, you ever go to Doomy's Home Cooking?
Say what?
Doomy's Home Cooking in Hollywood?
Do I do what?
Have you ever been to Doomy's Home Cooking in Hollywood?
Doomies? No, I haven't been to Doomies. I feel like a dummy now. Why? What's Doomies?
Doomy's is the best vegan food you ever had. Delicious.
Really?
Come and take you.
1253 Vine Street. There's a restaurant in Culver City and one in Canada, in Toronto, Canada. Pulled pork sandwiches, chicken parmesan.
How long has it been there?
It's been there for 4 or 5 years.
Oh, that's
we've had fun on
in LA.
That's
a
bizarre.
deal in LA.
There's a Mexican restaurant with the biggest flautas I ever had.
This is one of those like Mandela effect moments where I'm living in a parallel universe or something, because I thought that I'd absolutely every vegan thing conceivable in all of the greater Los Angeles and beyond. But hey,
I'm telling you, Doomy's Home Cooking. I was going to ask you about the Mandela effect, but I also wanted to talk about our new sponsor, and there will be a coupon code for 50% off an order for Raze energy drinks. Hannah will tell you, if there's something I know, it's energy drinks.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say for something I know that's about raising things.
Yes, so this goes both ways, but This is not the cheap garbage you're gonna get in 7-Eleven. This is stuff you can find in gyms. You find in GNC. There's 0 calories, 0 carbs, and 0 crash. This is the Baja Lime flavor.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try this now.
How's it?
Damn good. It's
Does
delicious.
it tickle testes?
So that's it. So now I've sold my soul to the corporate devil. Let me. This is the first question I wanted to ask, because I thought about having you. Well, about a month ago, we're on top of all the quarantine, the diseases flying around, the racial unrest, the riots. It was so apocalyptic.
It's pretty rad.
That's what I was going to ask.
Pretty awesome.
That's the most evil man I know. Is there a plan behind this? Is there something you know that I don't?
Oh yeah, man. This is just phase 2. We haven't even entered phase 3 yet. No, I'm just kidding. No, there's no plan. I don't know. This shit's fucking crazy, dude. You know?
I mean,
What is all
you're
that?
quarantined.
Yeah, but it doesn't make a difference for me because I don't go out anyway. Like everybody comes to me.
Okay.
I can tell you. When was the last time you had some vitamin D?
Vitamin D, like that dick? No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm good. I go outside all the time. I've got a beautiful yard. I go out and go run errands. Like I go to Staples to pick up some posters sometimes and different stuff like that.
Oh,
But
God, yeah, I have to run errands or else I lose my mind.
totally, yeah, just normal shit. And I go on little mini what do they call this? Mini vacations with my wife, little 3-day vacations where we go some town here or there in California we've never been to for no real particular reason, and just sort of poke around and and then come home. Just
Find
because,
antique shops.
yeah, stuff at least window shop, whatever's open, we pop into, and been wearing our masks and doing our due diligence and all that type of stuff. And but as far as the racial stuff, I don't really know if I fully not to come off as a conspiracy freak, not that I'm not one, but I don't know that I really fully believe that that it is the way it's being presented to seem when relative to the social unrest regarding racism per se as an issue. In other words, it's not that I don't think that there are problems that need to be fixed, and it's not that I don't think that fucking pigs need to get their justice. And they've been killing people, murdering people forever, and I'm a victim of police brutality. I have tons of friends. I know people who've been killed by cops. So there's definitely some major reform that needs to take place, and I'm totally on the side of minorities and people who've been marginalized in society, being targeted, profiled, and hurt, being treated violently.
But Black Lives Matter and Satanist Lives Matter.
Well, black either way. It's black. It's just two different shades of black.
I have so many questions for you. Can you just answer some for me?
I can try to. Yeah, sure. Let's go.
All right. Do you consider yourself part of the satanic legacy?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's kind of inescapable. So yeah.
You were literally born into it.
Yeah, I was born into it. I grew up. I mean, whereas some people are members of different various satanic sects, organizations, groups, and stuff like that, I'm not presently an active member like most people today would be of the Church of Satan that exists today. Whereas I, spent my formative years in the Black House that was the Church of Satan. So the original.
What's the difference between the Church of Satan, Satanism, satanic, and I know there is Satanism where it's farcical.
Yeah, there's different.
It's jokey, which I love. I like Satanism.
It can be genuine. It can be genuine and authentic, and still be jokey and farcical.
Do you consider it a religion, or do you consider it more of a lifestyle?
It's a religion. It is. It's just it's not a mainstream religion. It's kind of a para-religion. It runs alongside other religions without being, you know, I don't know. It's kind of just sort of goes under the radar. But it's growing too, and it's becoming more mainstream. It's becoming kind of like pretty rapidly more mainstream, I guess you would say.
So I was going to say, I've been watching a lot of stuff about your grandfather, Anton LaVey, who founded the Church of Satan, wrote the Satanic Bible.
He created modern day Satanism.
Yeah. He created modern day Satanism, and I'm going to have you go into as thorough an explanation as you can. But his glory days were in the radical 60s, 66, 67, 68, 69.
Yeah.
When he really was influential. He was on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson.
Yeah. He performed a Black Mass on Carson's Tonight Show on I think it was the 100th episode show or something like that.
And that's how influential he was in those days. Now, those days, I don't think we've seen turmoil like we have now since those days.
We haven't seen what?
Turmoil and racial tension and political unrest and political just differences.
No, we're living in a time, curiously, very, similar in some, in more ways than, in a long time now, right now, as during the time of civil rights movement and stuff like that. So with the parallels between the Watts riots and now and stuff, and just there's a lot of just stuff that seems like similar kind of angst going on, like social unrest and stuff. But as far as Satanism, where are we going with this? What
are the main pillars of Satanism? What are the commandments? What are the big rules?
All right, so I was thinking about this tonight because I don't really like just going on saying rehashing the same thing over and over again. So I was thinking, okay, I want to say something a little different tonight about Satanism. And so I'm going to come at it from this way. Early on, while codifying Satanism, I guess you would say, my grandmother and my grandfather, who are who originated Satanism, the way it's acknowledged today and the way it's practiced in America and worldwide, created a saying, a catchphrase, that was known amongst the inner circle as sex, sentiment, and wonder, and that these three things were vital and necessary to be present in something in order for it to be satanic. And so, and what I guess the way to separate those out and make them make sense is that I'm going to make it as 3 points. So one point is Satanism is about indulgence. It's about living a life of carnality and living a life that is based in hedonism and sort of I guess it would be kind of like what a lot of people would remember the summer of love of the 60s to be kind of like, but a little less grungy and hippie-ish and a little bit more like BDSM and kink based. And in fact, a lot of what people today regard as the BDSM type nightlife scene and fetish stuff that's based in sex fetishes and things like that grew in terms of mainstream popularity out from out of Satanism in the 1960s. So my grandfather was a major proponent and popularizer of things like body modification and modern primitivism and a lot of different types of subcultures that are now bordering on and actually have entered the mainstream, where TV shows like Sons of Anarchy but that's just one to name of so many. There's all kinds of examples of Anton was featured in American Horror Story. I think I mentioned that in my last visit on. I don't know if that happened.
I saw that. Did you like that portrayal? Did you?
You never did.
I thought it was cool. Any
or
portrayal of Anton in mainstream Hollywood that is done, that's done, you know, with at least like some effort involved, I think is cool. It doesn't really matter if it's like
They could have cast you. I mean, what were they thinking?
like the Church of Satan seemed a little bit uptight about it. They were like, oh, Anton LaVey would never agree to this, and you know his blah 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 about the he would never condone human sacrifice. But it's camp and it's horror. It's called American Horror Story. We all know that it's not meant to be taken literally. So yeah.
So Anton was not for human sacrifice.
No, absolutely not. Okay, so the sex and sentiment and wonder. Okay, so sex, we got that covered.
Before I move on from sex,
okay,
you know me, I'm all about it.
Yeah.
When you say indulge,
Anton was a sex symbol too, and he was actually Satanism and the Church of Satan and Anton as the symbol for the movement was used as a really to sell magazines and to as a symbol for the counterculture. He was kind of
something that he's passed on to you because you're a sex symbol too.
Well, thank you, Mark. Yeah, I mean, I guess too.
You are devilishly handsome.
Mm-hmm.
It's part of my job.
I just wanted to clarify. You say be hedonistic, but does that extend to incest, molestation, rape?
No, absolutely not. Forcing your will on anyone who either isn't asking for it, hasn't consented to it, or doesn't deserve it by some means that is according to natural law. In other words, the law of the jungle are strictly forbidden in Satanism.
Because those are hedonistic too.
Well, they're hedonistic, but that doesn't make them right.
Right. And
not all hedonistic actions or activities are condoned or considered
like right. They didn't deserve it. They didn't deserve it. They didn't consent.
Satanism is not a religion it's not a religion of anarchism, and there is a wrong and a right.
Right. No, I wanted to clarify that because I know that Satanism tolerated homosexuals and homosexuals and everything else.
Yeah,
way before mainstream.
It doesn't tolerate. It encourages. In fact, I mean, and when I say it encourages, it doesn't encourage specifically homosexuality. What it encourages is it encourages individuality, and it encourages freedom of individual expression of whatever your get down is. It doesn't matter whether if your thing is your sexuality or your sexual preference, identity, however you define yourself sexually, and that's like really your like primary personality identifier, then that's going to be, as Satanist, what stands out front and center. So, but that doesn't mean that that's like some sort of like that it's like mandatory or something like that. Like, I mean, there are plenty of Satanists who are very kind of meek and unassuming and not very sexually aggressive types, and there's every type of Satanist. I think that's one of the great beauties of Satanism is that you're guaranteed to come across and cross paths with literally every conceivable personality type other than closed-minded ones, which are really, it's like if there were ever one type of personality I want to like automatically avoid, it would be closed-minded personalities. And so to have that as a filter in life is a pretty great thing, I think. Okay,
so we got the sex.
Yeah, we got the sex. The sentiment would be okay. So now in life, right? Okay, so when you're at home alone, Mark, like you're going to listen to music and you're going to adorn the walls of your apartment with art maybe, and you're going to like have clothing that you either like don't get rid of because of sentimental value and attachment that you have to it, and because it reminds you of a particular time in your life or a way of life, living and lifestyle that like when you listen to that music, when you put on that shirt, when you look at your environment and you remember back to a time when you were like at your most like comedic and gothic, okay, and and
He knows me so well.
And you have these things around you as reminders and as sort of like as scenery in your life. You can use them magically in a way. And I don't know this, maybe some of your watchers, listeners, however, will be able to vibe on this, but like, if you listen to certain music or watch a certain movie or however, or maybe like get together with a certain group of friends that you had a great, really incredible, memorable experience with or something, there's this sensation that you actually feel internally that goes beyond, it transcends just the standard five senses. And it's actually this otherworldly, and it's also a connective otherworldly sort of
Energy. It's
an energy, exactly, that is being transmitted between the individual and other things. Well, we can get into that maybe later or in a moment. But basically, sentiment, when applied magically in this way in life, and when you use things that are so meaningful to you that they generate this type of energy, and then when you take that energy and you focus it on something, whatever it may be, and with certain techniques applied, the results, in other words, the magical results in terms of what a person can accomplish or attain out of or from using this type of energy ritualistically is pretty remarkable.
Well, speaking of that, and I want to get Hannah in here because after a couple of years ago when you were on the show for the first time, you had a showing of the movie Satanist.
Yeah.
And I know Hannah went. And I know after she was there, she's like, oh my God, it was a life-changing experience.
That's the type of sentiment that I'm talking about. That's exactly right. Yeah.
Hannah, describe this. Why was this a life-changing experience?
It was just like something I've never experienced before. It was so artistically done, enlightening. Just, you can't really describe it when you're there.
I mean, I know you had
a couple of friends with me
at the time, but besides
I had a couple of friends with me that were there as well, and they were just in awe.
So you felt the energy, you felt the satanic.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It was very friendly and inviting and comfortable, safe.
But it created a sentimental experience that now you have, that you associate with and will forever probably, where when you went to see Satanist, if you see Satanist with friends, or if should the occasion, rise to watch it, or even just talking about it, even like right now, it will bring about that, like you will catch a feeling of that same energy of sentiment. And so
I also still have the dress from when you're saying like you hold on to clothing. I still have the dress I wore to the premiere, and I keep it because of that.
That's pretty cool. Yes. And so like you could absolutely, and you could very effectively use that dress ritualistically or ceremonially, with tying that sentiment into the magic, using for satanic magic. And so the third wonder is really what is what is being used theatrically to attract and to dazzle or open the minds or titillate, however, sex, sentiment, and wonder. How I'm using these to describe Satanism. All right, now, so sex, sentiment, and wonder in terms of this combination, or this recipe equation for Satanism is creating a situation and a scene, an environment, and a play out of life, and turning people in your life and around you, other Satanists, into players in something that is intended to more or less entertain an audience of demons, if you will, I know that might sound crazy, but we live on a stage. This world is a stage, and humans are players on a stage that are entertaining. Or we are here really to interact and entertain in this way a cast of forces and energies that that we're able to call on and work with and gain as fans in some ways, or depending on how popular you might become. And this is the difference between atheistic Satanism and theosophical or theological Satanism. Sorry.
Oh,
So
that's what I was hearing. Yeah, there seems to be two types. There seems to be the cool art school kid that is like atheistic, and then there seems to be the like teenage kid that actually believes in the devil.
Well, there's people who do the use of magic, at least in employing magic, for you know, to affect a change and to get something more out of life and a religious experience with Satan or with Satanism. And there's and then there's kind of dress up types that I think are a little bit nervous or apprehensive to approach it as witchcraft, and so I think that's where a lot of confusion comes into.
Which would you classify yourself as?
Sorry, what?
Which would you classify yourself as?
Well, I'm not. I'm certainly not an atheist.
So you do believe in God? You believe in heaven and hell?
I don't believe in God I don't believe in God in the.
You believe in energy? It seems like you believe in energy, and like that is.
That's kind of putting it vaguely too, though, and that doesn't really nail it down either. It's not like that sounds hokey, and to say it's just energy is kind of being hokey. I actually, I know without a doubt that there are beings that exist that are not necessarily perceivable to us and other animals, at least using our primary senses, but that doesn't at all mean that they're not there. And I think that it's just I mean, for me, it's kind of like really strange, the idea or the thought. You have to understand where I'm coming from, is from a place where it doesn't make sense at all to look at things as though, monotheistically, and as though Jesus is something or someone who actually existed, and all of this type of stuff. This is all.
I hate Jesus. I hate Jesus. I hate Jesus so much.
Well, there's a lot of really desirable things about Jesus.
He was just the Charlie Manson of. Look, more people have died in the name of Jesus than in the name of Charlie Manson.
That's
well, funny you should mention Charlie Manson, because Charlie Manson, in his autobiography, wrote about Stanton LaVey. Now, how did he know you? I mean, how did that correspondence start? Because I've been reading your articles in Ozzy, the website, which is very interesting. You talk about Susan Atkins visiting the Black House. But you were born 10, 12 years later. How does Charles Manson in a prison cell?
I was born 9 years later, yeah.
Yeah. How does Charles Manson in a prison cell find out about you and be so taken with you?
He's Manson. What do you expect? Crazy
well, I think that we had some weird similar stuff going on in terms of like how he was experiencing Hollywood back in the late 60s to how I was experiencing Hollywood in the late 2000 whatever, or in whatever, around 2008 and 9. So right around the same time, 50 years later, would have been 50 or 40? Wait, is that 40 years?
40.
40? Okay, so
Yeah,
right around 40 years later, I was living out a Hollywood lifestyle that was very much like Charlie Manson's in the late 60s. And we also had a lot of like connections. We knew a lot of the same people while he was in prison, and I knew people. I mean, we worked with different people in the literary world and in just in the counterculture scene as artists and different people. We ran with a lot of the same people. If Charlie was not in jail, like if he wasn't living his life in prison, we would have absolutely been friends. We maintained kind of like a weird, vague friendship through the media. We didn't write each other letters. We talked to each other through people and through stories and through articles, which is kind of strange. And yeah, he wanted my story. I guess he thought that I probably had some insight from the fact that when I was a kid, research was being done for Charles Manson Superstar, the documentary that my stepdad, Nicholas Schreck, directed. And there was some stuff there that I learned about like Charlie's background with the CIA, and that there's pretty like solid evidence to support the not idea but fact that Charlie was a CIA op.
No, I was gonna segue into your article for Aussie Magazine when you were talking about growing up in the Black House.
So I mean, Satanism is like a religion of heathens, basically. We believe in like common sense, treating people with basic decency and also taking responsibility for your actions, having fun, living life to the fullest, experimenting and indulging in the black arts, if you will, of magic and occultism, and so there's that. And then on to which article were we talking about?
There was an article where you talked about all the serial killers that went to the Black House. Mia almost taught me. I knew this was what you had.
Okay, tell me everything you know about the Son of Sam.
I don't have anything on the Son of Sam, but wait, Mark, did that article come out since the last time I was on your show?
Yes, it did.
Okay, cool. Yeah, okay, yeah. So like,
Susan Atkins, first off.
Yours, right?
I liked it. I've been reading all the articles. They're terrific.
Okay.
We got to go West Coast on this because the Black House, was Anton LaVey's house.
White House for Satanists.
It was Anton LaVey's house in San Francisco. It was painted all black, and oddly enough, before he even wrote the Satanic Bible, it was notorious because Anton LaVey had a lion, a full-grown lion.
Yeah.
So he was like the original Tiger King.
Big cats around as pets.
Yeah.
If you're gonna get a tiger, just have a kid.
Yeah. Well, he had a lion. He had an African lion, and I mean, well, it was a lion cub at first, but lion cubs become big lions.
Yeah.
So he was the original Tiger King, and he was on a children's show that's now on Amazon Prime.
Yeah,
I watched that.
Yes, called Brother Buzz. It was the Brother Buzz children's show, and it was a local Bay Area San Francisco children's show. It was in 1965. They did a kind of a Count Dracula meets the Addams Family-esque, look at my family. At the time, my mother Zena was like all of 1 or 2 years old, and they had a lion cub named Togar the lion, and years later, and it's depicted in the film Satanists, they ended up having to give the lion up, and the lion ended up retiring here in Southern California at Tippy Hedren Wildlife Reserve.
Oh yeah, I forgot. She rescued cats and shit.
Yes, yeah. So Togar, my grandfather's lion, sired generation after generation of movie lions for Shambhala here in Southern California. On a side note, but But yes, there was something I was going to mention though that you just mentioned something before. The brother.
So you grew up in San Francisco, and I was asking about serial killers. Tell me everything. Okay?
It was a dark house. It was a black house. And,
I'm guessing it was on Haight Street, right? If I recall correctly.
Yeah, it was on California Street in the Richmond district in San Francisco. You're thinking of, there's another house that's notorious in San Francisco. Not that there aren't many notorious houses, but one in particular is called the Westerfield House, which was also known as the Old Russian Embassy. And this is where Bobby Beausoleil, Kenneth Anger, Charlie Manson, and Susan Atkins and my grandfather all met. And
wow.
And it's where Charlie Manson, it's where Bobby Beausoleil and Susan Atkins ended up becoming members of the Manson family. And then leaving to LA with Charlie, and then becoming murderers in the Manson family. Yeah.
But Susan Atkins posed nude in your father's house.
This is correct. Yes, on several occasions, in fact. And I mean, I've got like
one on California Street. You said right?
Yeah,
and that's the one, and then the one where everybody met.
Yeah, that was the old. There was the Old Russian Embassy that was in like the where you mentioned, and then on near Haight Street, and then
that one's on California. Okay, I'm thinking.
Where I grew up, the Black House, the famous Black House that was set back from the street, where where there were many never-ending, I mean, bajillions of pages of Google photos of my family, in front of and different people at the Black House. Marilyn Manson and Tracy Lords went and met my grandfather at his house, at our house. But in particular, the story that Mark's referring to is this story that I wrote that basically highlighting just a few of the more celebrated murderers that passed by or through the doors of the Black House. But Susan Atkins, of course, had a connection to the family and as a publicity model. So it wasn't really a member of the Church of Satan. It was actually just like kind of like runaway hippie chick on the street that happened to be like willing to do basically anything for money. So she would take these odd jobs, doing whatever, and she was willing to pose nude, which a lot of people weren't. And in the accent and words of the photographer who took the photos and who recruited Susan Atkins, among other witches, she's got good pussy. So he was some like Swedish guy, I guess, and he thought she had a nice looking pussy, and she was willing to get naked, and so she got herself some gigs posing with a ton, but she also performed in like a striptease performance art thing that Anton directed called the Topless Witches Review at the Mitchell Brothers Theater. And so he would direct Susan Atkins as the victim of Dracula, and he would like pick her up and bite her and carry her off. And there was one where some other girl would be like tied up and a werewolf or a wolf man would run out on stage and sort of ravish her and like pick her up and take her and run off stage with her. And so, yeah. And then other killers though, like that people didn't know about, were like, for instance, the Zodiac Killer had ties to my family, or at least to the Church of Satan.
Tell me more. I love Zodiac. I think we're very close to catching up if we're willing to put in some DNA bullshit like we did with the Golden State Killer. I think we could totally figure out who Zodiac is, because he licked an envelope, the dumb fuck.
Yeah. But it would just be a matter of having something to compare it to, is the thing.
They found it through some family tree bullshit.
Yeah.
For the Golden State Killer.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, the Golden State Killer. Yeah, but he's more recent though, isn't he? Like his last crimes. He did.
Stopped doing his crimes because he realized he was a cop, so he realized, oh, I should fucking stop this shit. But he was the original Night Stalker, I think, in the 1970s. You know, the OG one, not
Really?
not Richard Ramirez, who I would love.
Who we're going to talk about in a second. But
Yeah. Richard Ramirez came by the Black House. He made a pilgrimage to the Black. He was obsessed with Anton, and obsessed with the family, and all of it. And he actually presented kind of an interesting dilemma or problem, if you will, of Satanism as to what isn't satanic. In other words, it's like, yes, you're not supposed to kill anyone. Satanism is against killing or taking anything against its life. But on the flip side, if a person is determined to do something and willing to face whatever consequences are coming their way, and then they face those consequences and do so, and they're not, big whiners about it. You can't really say that they are not.
There was no permission from the victims of. There was no permission from the victims of the Night Stalker. Although he did think that if the doors were open, he couldn't. That was permission.
Yeah, he was crazy.
So in his fucked up mind, it's wrong. But I get behind his thinking now. I get why he thought that. It's not right. It's not right. But like, I see the timeline, dude.
Yeah, he was crazy.
I'm unraveling the insanity.
It was pretty scary. I mean, the thing is as a kid, there were always there was always the chance of somebody really crazy like Richard Ramirez, or would-be kidnappers, people randomly shooting at the house. Even crazy Christians would shoot at our house and plot on.
Was it hard to have friends over?
Was it what? Was it
hard
to
have friends over, like sleepovers?
It didn't happen very often.
You didn't have sleepovers at the Black House?
I don't recall ever a time inviting a friend.
Parties, anything like that?
No.
But
So Stanton, would you say that like veganism and Satanism go hand in hand because you don't want to take a life against its will?
Good question.
Excuse me?
Would you say Satanism and veganism, they go hand in hand because you don't want to take a life against its will?
Absolutely. I mean, that makes it work philosophically, at least for me, on a sort of on a simplified level. But other reasons that I have personally for being vegan, that are not health reasons per se. In other words, like, I'm not some kind of like health freak. It's not about that. But I definitely do not believe that any animal should be killed unnecessarily when there are so many options, and when we live in a world of such incredible variety and abundance that there is absolutely no conceivable reason why any animal should ever be hurt or caged or killed for
It
food.
is easier to be a vegan today than ever.
Sorry?
It's easier to be a vegan today than ever.
It's as easy as it can possibly be, and in fact, the quality of products made to imitate the flavor, textures, and types of meat dishes that exist are better in most cases than the meat and it would be that you would eat. And there's really no exception. And I mean, like people that say, oh, that's not true, the texture of this or the blah 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 of that. It's like, you know what, people are going to justify things till they turn blue and fall over.
I agree.
Once somebody has been hardwired and conditioned, and they've done something a certain way for so long that they feel that their egos and their pride and their dignity is at stake when you challenge these obsolete really ways of being, then it's just, you're not dealing with somebody that is open to considering that, hey, maybe I was being misled by people who they didn't understand themselves what they were doing and why they were doing it, or what their logic behind things, or supposed logic, was, at least. And you know, here's where I differ from other types of vegans, where other types of vegans often are more very pacifistic types that say, oh, well, you know, you can't fault these people. These people, they don't know any better. All we can do is we can try to educate them. And it's like, you know, no, for me, personally, I would take more of an aggressive and more extreme approach to this if given license and the opportunity to. I feel that it should be stopped immediately. All production and our quote unquote production of the wholesale slaughter of animals need to cease immediately and completely and entirely and permanently. And I feel that people should have to either pay such an just inconceivably huge luxury tax on something like eating animal flesh that it should become just financially undesirable.
Agreed.
On just to start with. And then once you get that in place, then, you know, with a few other measures taken, it really shouldn't be that difficult to recondition people after a generation or two of you know, rethinking and just providing them with options that make more sense. People need to stop just thinking that whatever it is right because they've been doing it so long. That's the number one most dangerous way to go about making a decision in life of what you should or shouldn't be doing, what's rational or logical, reasonable, sensible, fair, healthy, kind, loving.
Speaking of decisions,
the types of things,
and you two are gonna just obliterate the meat market altogether, and I applaud.
Yeah,
that.
we are.
But in the name of Satan. But why Stanton and I?
Based on bullshit that you've been doing.
Did you grow up in a vegan house? Was the Black House vegan or?
Absolutely no way, no.
But, I was going to say,
my grandfather was a meat and potatoes man from Chicago. He you know, would when he went out, if it wasn't, you know, some sort of red meat in some sort of wine sauce with potatoes, you know, and that's about it, you know. That and alcohol and chocolate, you know, those were the types of things that Anton lived on.
And sex.
Huh?
And sex.
Sex, yeah. But there again, Anton was a sex. Okay, sex symbols aren't always like, you know, just like hard pounded fucking 24/7 as you might imagine. You know what I mean? Like, well, you have to actually finesse it. There's a lot of work involved in being a sex symbol that makes it so that you don't sometimes have as much time to just fuck off as you'd like to have.
You would know better than I would. I was going to say, as far as the decision, now, when Anton passed away in the late 90s, there was a big power struggle for the Church of Satan. And all this time, have you ever tried to assume the mantle?
No. I'm working on this thing right now called the Satanic Order. And it's a continuation of a project that I've been working on for some time now with the recently deceased retired Lieutenant Colonel Michael Aquino, and along with other friends and associates, Boyd Rice, and a number of other people that is now coming together and finally coalescing, and we're going to be opening the doors to our first chapter of the Ordo Satanis, is what we're calling it, and taking memberships. So,
okay, how come you haven't done this before, or have you tried before?
Yeah, timing, inspiration, it's what feels right when and what makes sense. There's people involved. It's not just me. There's factors.
Paint it black?
Sorry?
Are you going to paint it black?
Oh, well, yeah, at least one side of it. Well, we've got the House of Wills in Cleveland, and Eric Freeman's been gracious enough to offer the house, which is a citywide or city block-sized mansion in the middle of Cleveland, Ohio. It's really incredible. It's one of the most haunted buildings in the United States, the House of Wills. If you look it up, we're making it our first chapter at least, and it's operating headquarters out of there for now. So.
And I always have to ask you silly questions. The last time I asked you if Taylor Swift was a clone of your mother, and I just read that somewhere, and then I found some footage of your mother, and I know you guys are estranged. I don't want to get too deeply into that, but I did see a picture of your mother when she was young, and she does beautiful. She looks a lot like Taylor Swift.
Yeah, I guess I can see the resemblance, man. You know, they both have that like kind of mousy, you know, like I don't know. Yeah, I guess
the hair is similar. The
type of like popular chick in high school that that would have never spoken to me or you, Mark. All right.
Well, I know that. I can tell you that already.
Me and you hanging out like jerking off, thinking about him. But they would have never talked to us.
No, I wouldn't. No, they see that those weren't the ones I jerk off to. I jerked off to the weird goth girls that were into Satan, and they had nothing to do with me either. So
Zena was a weird goth chick. Well, not goth. No, you liked him really. You liked him in poet shirts and like velvet and shit.
No, velvet and shit.
Because
How
much black velvet was on the wall?
My mother wore like spandex mini skirts when I was a little kid, and all my friends would jerk off and tell stories about jerking their masturbation fantasies about my mother.
She was a MILF, I suppose. She had you when she was 14. She was a young woman.
She was a young woman. She was a slutty young woman.
But she. I mean, her baptism when she was 3 was a big deal.
It was a big deal, actually. Yeah, and it was one of the three. It was one of the 3 first and most important rituals that Anton performed publicly that formulated Satanism into the public zeitgeist. So,
right.
I have so many more questions about growing up in the Black House.
Go right ahead.
All right.
Yeah, I didn't grow up in it. I spent my formative years in it. I was there until I was 5. So, and then I was back there for like a year on and off. And then
I just have other questions about you growing up. And
I've had a pretty...
You're the Antichrist?
Well, not so much the Antichrist thingy. It's like, I'm a Jew. So I think anything that isn't the one God is kind of stupid.
Yeah. Well,
don't get me in Nick Cannon kind of trouble on the show, okay?
But no, we believe in energy. We definitely, there are some things don't hurt others unless you're provoked. Don't do, I like it. But I'm wondering what it's like to grow up with your being under the eye of the royal family is what I'm really curious about.
Okay. So for me, and this question, I'll try to answer it this way. Growing up in the 1980s, which is when I was a little kid in the Church of Satan, was very different than it would be if I was a little kid right now. And if all of that was playing out today instead of back then, and how the world is, how people are, how my family would be today versus the way they were, and the type of struggles that we experienced as a business and as a philosophy that was gaining some traction to an extent, but that was also under a lot of fire and a lot of a lot of scrutiny from daytime talk shows and pop psychology and evangelical Christians and all this type of stuff. There were all these like really, there's a lot of like big money assholes, if you will, that were really out to put a damper on things for the cool new satanic people. And it really had a profoundly negative effect on my family directly. And so it's not that, granted, you know, Satanism as a movement has pulled through. We've made it through, and we're stronger than ever. The movement's moving. I mean, we're like, things are growing, and the attention and how we're received and how accepted it is via the mainstream media and Hollywood, and things like, you know, from like, you know, I was making some references earlier, but like Buffy
always have some sacrifice with Satanists, and they're always sacrificing a goat in the 80s, and there was mass media panic over this.
Yeah,
and the FBI finally had to like,
I mean, when you
and be like, dude, this shit don't happen.
When you consider that back in the 1980s, right, that there were only a handful of bands, of heavy metal bands, that were considered even like kind of like satanic, and that were rumored to be involved with or found at the site of like ritual child sacrifices and different animal sacrifices and things like that, compared to the fact that heavy metal and black metal and death metal and satanic metal, every type of like subgenre metal that exists, that is all combined heavy metal, right? And how satanic it is overtly. And when you look at it as a genre, just as an umbrella genre, heavy metal, and how much of what exists under that umbrella is basically painted in pentagrams, is mind-boggling. So, you know, we're living in a completely different like mindset today than we were 25 and 50 years ago. And so it's, you know, when I was in school as a kid, I was the one and only kid that was wearing all black, that wasn't goth, and that wasn't some sort of like a East Side Cholo or something. And because like that would be the only other instance of a kid wearing all black, is if they were like becoming a gang member. And some of my friends in elementary school in Hollywood and in LA, because I spent half time between LA and San Francisco when growing up, but I finished elementary and went to junior high in Hollywood, and I mean, I was the one and only witch kid. There was no other kid that was like that. But of course, even today, it's unusual, and there aren't a lot of kids in schools that you point out and go, oh, there goes the Satanists. But they do exist now, where they didn't before, and it's actually becoming, you know, it's a thing now. I remember
there's lots of Wiccan kids around. I grew up with Wiccan kids.
Well, I mean, I remember in 2005 between 2005 and 2007, I was pretty close friends with Hank Williams III. Hank Williams, the country legend, his grandson. And whenever I would talk to him or see him, he would tell me, oh man, there were way more kids in black at this show than there were at the last. And he was talking about kids like satanic kids, basically. And that his audiences were morphing from country audiences into Satanists and heavy metal audiences. And so the audience kind of dictated his art, actually, which is kind of weird.
Was that your influence? Because people found out about him through you?
Yeah, well, they found out that they found out by whatever means that he and I were tight, and that some of his music was being influenced by his association with me.
Yeah, I just let somebody know that Matt Skiba from Blink-182 is a Satanist.
Yeah.
That was a good friend of yours. I don't know if still is.
I've known Matt forever. Yeah.
But let me ask you a few silly questions now.
I want to ask one too.
No, we're coming back to you, and it's almost we're We're almost done, but I gotta ask some dumb questions. Like, some stuff I found on the internet now. Was Juice WRLD's death a satanic sacrifice?
Was whose death?
Juice WRLD, the rapper.
Juice WRLD. I don't know Juice WRLD.
Okay, well maybe not then. Beyonce and Jay-Z, they've got to be Satanists, right? They're always doing the Illuminati stuff.
Yeah. Mark, that's one of those things. I guess by now, sure, they must be satanic in some way. I mean, yeah, they're Satanists. Fuck yeah.
Lady Gaga, Satanist too?
Sorry, what?
Lady Gaga?
Lady Gaga. She is. Swear you love Lucifer. Swear you love Lucifer. Right? Swear you love Lucifer. I swear to Lucifer. I swear to Lucifer. I swear to Lucifer. Yeah, Lady Gaga's a Satanist. Sure.
Okay. All right. And I was reading today that the bubonic plague is back. That in Ohio they found a squirrel with bubonic plague. Is the apocalypse here? Is it at hand?
Fuck no.
No. Okay.
No.
So this virus is going to blow over.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
This shit happens all the time. This is not that big of a deal.
We're gonna like have to wear masks for the rest of our lives.
Fuck no. Come on.
Unless you choose to.
2.5 years tops. 2 years maybe tops.
Okay.
Yeah, that sucks.
And by that time, your church will be well established.
Full swing, baby.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's gotta be, but seriously, it's got to be your whole life has had to be pressure filled to live up to and your grandfather.
What if your favorite color isn't black? What if it's like purple and you just want to wear purple all the
Love
time?
purple. Are you kidding? That's one of my favorite colors.
What's your second favorite color?
What?
What are your favorite colors? You can't say black.
What are my favorite? Purple would be actually my favorite color. That's the magic color. So yeah.
It's the color of royalty.
Oh, wait. I got something to tell you guys. I'm gonna be playing Satan in a movie coming up.
No, I was going to get to that. Before we get to that,
Okay.
I always have to talk a little Dolomite.
Say what?
I have to talk a little Dolomite on every show.
Let's talk a little Dolomite.
You and Dolomite, Eddie Murphy did the movie. I thought it was great. But you inferred in an article that Dolomite was bisexual? That Rudy Ray Moore was bisexual?
I didn't say he was bisexual. I said he was a fag.
Yeah!
Dolomite was a fag?
Yeah.
How do you know?
That's
the Disco Godfather. What are you talking about?
Well,
What's wrong?
It's one of those things. It's something you know. It's
Did you have sex with Dolomite?
I don't know.
Yeah, back then when he was alive.
Coke is diet when you're drinking it. You know what I mean?
No, I know you did coke with him, but did you?
No, I didn't mean like that. Okay, but go. Yeah, that too. All right. I did not do. Okay. No, I did not do coke with Dolomite. I wish that I could say that I did coke with Dolomite, but I know I did. I did coke with Dolomite on the phone, doing coke with me.
You just zoomed cocaine.
We long distance we did coke together. It was
Social distancing cocaine.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. It was a long distance telephone line.
Now, what celebrity now is a Satanist that we wouldn't necessarily think?
Wait, what? Who is a Satanist?
What celebrity is a Satanist that we would have no idea about?
Let's see. That I'm at liberty to say. Okay. You know who Mark Almond is?
Yes, also, yeah.
Mark Almond is a Satanist.
Yeah, the sex dwarf, tainted love.
You knew that though.
Yeah.
I did know that.
All right. Who's a Satanist? Okay. Do you know who Jacques Vallée is?
It sounds familiar. Who is Jacques Vallée?
Vallée is one of the world's most famous, if not the world's most famous ufologist. He's also one of the key inventors of the original internet called ARPANET. His name's Jacques Vallée, and he was an early Church of Satan member, close friend of the LaVey family, Satanist. Yeah, look the guy up. Fascinating.
I definitely will.
I will. Yeah.
Embrace the darkness. No, but you're playing Satan in a movie, which I can't believe that hasn't. Nobody's
happened
asked
already. Yeah.
Not much stretch, right?
Tell us about the movie.
It's called Death Rising, and it is about. Oh, I'm not supposed to say too much about what it's about, but it's. But I guess I can say a little. It's about. It's about a coven of witches in New Orleans that are dealing with a magical working where they are trying to conjure Satan and do, and I play Satan in this film. So it's pretty crazy. It's like a crazy like CGI and live special effects horror movie, supernatural.
Cool.
Yeah,
Are you gonna have like a special screening for that?
Kind of getting excited.
I'm gonna have crazy huge Baphomet horns, and I'm gonna have like crazy huge wings. But I'm not gonna give. There's other stuff too. I'm not gonna give it all up. But there's other features too. But it's gonna be intense, really intense. A lot of makeup.
Was the filming delayed because of the COVID?
No, they've been doing all principal filming over the past couple of months, and I'm like in just some of the last scenes they're filming in about a week and a half. So
Cool. Well, when it comes out, I want to see it.
yeah,
Or something, Mark and I would love to go.
yeah. I'll let you guys know when I'm in town, and we'll see if there's anything.
And you were filming a documentary last time you were on.
Ooh.
And
Has that been finished?
Hey, how did that all come
happening.
out?
Yes, that's still happening.
That's usually now. I washed my hands. Don't worry.
That was put off because of all of this, because it's just little stuff gets really just pushed way to the back. But
You're working on that and the 666 documentary.
666 is out and on my streaming site liberatedx.com. That's liberatedx LIBER.
You're doing good. Liberated. LIBEREED.
Liberated. And so, oh yeah, BaphometX.com. I've got like my own sort of like it's like a social media platform thing in the making, and like people are signing up for it crazy.
I was going to ask you if Facebook was the devil, but I guess it's not. You're
no, I don't know. My websites are doing well. Things are just going great. Yeah.
So everybody needs to get off Facebook and get on your social site.
Get off Facebook. Get on to Baphomet X. Come on over to liberatedx.com. I'm uploading new movies to my streaming site all the time. We've got the craziest like underground and bootleg band concert videos and all crazy like uncensored weird art and avant-garde films and great
Sammy Davis Jr. Christopher Lee movie.
And 666 is on it too, with Dolomite, the full stand-up routine, and Duncan Trussell and Danzig and Hank 3 and 45 Grave and Alkaline Trio and everyone.
Ooh.
Yes.
There's only 100 movies on there, right? Or 100
yeah,
concerts.
I think we got finally over 100 titles and growing, and I've got like thousands more to go up, and we're starting to take submissions for people, so it's just going to grow and grow, and it's crazy. It's
and
awesome.
Now that we're back in quarantine, there's no excuse not to go check it out.
Yeah, and no excuse for me to not keep bugging my employees to rip movies and get them on my site. So yeah. Yep.
You watched everything on Netflix. Now it's some real entertainment.
Yeah, now it's time to really do damage to your conscience and turn yourself into a truly amoral freak of nature by going to Liberated X and signing up and becoming a member, because the films that you watch on this site will permanently change you for the worse.
Well,
change it for the better.
Where does the time go? This has been so much fun. Mia?
All right. Good to see y'all. And Hannah,
Mia, go to Mia fucking Mars on Instagram.
Thank you. Please do.
And you'll be doing comedy hopefully soon enough.
Hey,
I know, and hopefully we'll all be able to do this together in person soon.
Dye your
It's not the same on Zoom.
Hail Satan.
Hail Satan, Stanton. Thank you for coming.
Satan.
BaphomX.com, LiberatedX.com, Hail Hannah Box 666 on Instagram.
That's right.
Box 666.
Yes, and Goth Camino social media. Everybody, have a wonderfully satanic week.
Week.
Bye.
Bye.
Hail Satan.